This week, I'll lead you through a warrior yoga sequence. This is a hands-free sequence focusing on strengthening the legs and the feet. Let's get started. All the credits for the sequence go to my teacher, Leslie Kaminoff. So this is his sequence, and I'm just sharing with you what I have learned from him. I'll add a link in the description below. You can go check out the rest of Leslie Kaminoff's work on his website. Then let's get on with the practice. Now, you don't need any props for this practice. The whole intention is that we do this without props. We're really trying to engage, fire the legs and create some strength and stamina through the feet and the legs. And we're going to start in a mountain pose. You can bring your feet about hip width apart and just take a moment there, finding the ground underneath your feet. You might rock the weight a bit from side to side, from heels to toes. Notice where you feel the weight under your feet. You could try spreading the toes. Feel the outer edges of your feet. Feel the arches of your feet. And then notice your breath. Take a couple of slightly slower breaths in and out. Notice if you can ground yourself a bit more with the in breaths or out breaths. You can check which one is more grounding for you. And then we're going to step into warrior one, but we'll do that in steps. So first, rotate your right foot into, or let's say, I'll let you decide which foot you would like to have as your back foot. You can do this either way. I'm going to rotate my right foot, so that's going to be my back leg, and then I'll step the left foot forward, but you might do the opposite. See what works better for you right now. And then I'll take my left foot and step it forward, but keeping the same distance sideways between the feet. So we're not bringing feet into one line. We are keeping the feet roughly hip, pelvis width apart. And then we're not taking a huge step forward. So once you've taken that step forward, see if you can easily step your feet back together or back in the same line. If not, if you need to start using your upper body a lot, then we've taken a slightly too big step. So we're not taking a too long step, just to a point where you can still easily then step back to that back foot. And then the whole idea in our sequence is that this is where we keep our feet through warrior one, through warrior two, through triangles, through some forward bends. We are not going to move our feet or adjust the legs. So give yourself a moment to find a grounded place in that warrior one. Again, checking that the feet have that space sideways in between them. And just bend that front knee to comfortable warrior one, grounding through the back foot as well. So now we've found a place for our feet. Then we'll add some movement, some breathing here for the upper body. Bring arms down by your sides. And as you inhale, let your arms float up. You don't need to bring your arms together. You can leave a space, a big bubble there between the arms. Notice how that feels. You might notice that your pelvis is slightly open out to the side. See if you could turn your chest towards the front, but not forcing the pelvis to be turned towards the front. You can leave the pelvis happily slightly open out to the side. From here, we're going to exhale, bring the arms sideways down, let the shoulders rotate in, and then you can slightly round your upper back, maybe nod the head down and forward. And as you inhale, float the arms up, grounding down through the legs. Next out breath, we're going to go a bit further down, rounding the back. Bring backs of the hand behind your lower back. Maybe just nodding the head, the back a bit further down. So rounding through the spine. Inhale, grounding down through the feet. Arms floating up. We'll do this another 2 times. Exhale, bring arms sideways down. Round your upper back. Shoulders can rotate in. Inhale, grounding down through the feet. Arms floating up. Open through the chest. Exhale, bring arms behind the back, hands on the lower back, rounding the back a bit more. Inhalation brings us back up, keeping weight on both legs, both feet. One more round. First, a smaller knot, just rounding the upper spine, arms rotating in. Inhaling, arms floating up. One more time, exhaling, rounding the back a bit further, hands on the lower back. And then inhaling, lengthening up. Arms come up one more time. And pause there to breathe. You can keep a nice space between the arms. And then open arms out to the sides like a T shape. And then we're going to play a little bit with the shoulder rotation. So rotate your arms in from the shoulders, turning the lower arm as well. And then rotating the arms up from the shoulder all the way to hands. Couple more times, rotating the whole arm. So feeling that kind of twisting rotation going through the arms. One more time. So rotating the whole arm. And then we're looking for the double twist. So now leave your shoulders, upper arm rotated, kind of externally open. And then just turn your palms down towards the mat. So that double spiral going through the arms. From here, we're going to go into Warrior 2. And you can decide if you start that turning out to the side through the hips and then going through the spine. Or you could try by turning through the head first, head turning to the side, then the chest bone, the ribs, the belly, ending with the hips. But like I said, we are not going to change where our feet are. We're going to keep the legs as they are. And that might feel strange if you've never done this before, but we are really creating some nice strength through the feet and legs. Now from here, we're going to continue into the triangle pose. So now we're going to tilt towards that front leg, still keeping the front knee bent. And you can bring Your hand maybe next to the knee or next to the shin, but we're not going to lean hand onto the floor or take hold of the leg. This will make us engage more and use strength. And let's release that top arm behind the back for a moment. And just focus on turning your chest bone out to the side. Finding your triangle there. And then you could try straightening, extending that front knee more if you want. It's optional. But see if you can still keep your arm in roughly same place and still keep opening your chest out to the side. You might look down to the mat. You might look out to the side. You might even look up to the ceiling if you want. And now you can stay here, or we can start to move that top arm, that free arm. So you can bring your hands together, kind of palms facing each other. And then tracing the top arm with your hand, with your gaze, start to open that arm up. But bring that top arm only so far that you can still trace it with your gaze. Next breath, you could slowly bring that hand back down. And we can repeat this 2 more times. So tracing that moving hand with your gaze. And taking it only so far that you can still follow it with your gaze. And again, slowly bringing the arm down. Keeping the legs steady. You could do this 1 more time. You can notice where you breathe in, where you breathe out. And then pause there for a breath or 2. And then slowly release that triangle. Lean over the front leg. You could now bring fingertips onto the mat. And just leaning the back down into a forward bend. This is our kind of resting pose. You can bend that front knee more if you want. You can straighten the front leg if you want. But the fingertips on the mat, they're just supporting a bit. We're not leaning any weight heavily onto the hands or arms. Take another breath. You can let your head hang down. Then we're going to go into the revolving triangle. So bend the front knee slightly and then lift your back, lift your arms up. And we'll start by bringing palms kind of facing each other, bringing the hands now to the outside of that front leg. Again, it could be outside of the knee, could be outside of the shin. And then we're going to slowly turn the chest now towards the same side as that front leg, so into a twist. And you could bring that top arm again behind the back for a moment. So not focusing on the arm yet, more focus on turning through the ribs, through the chest. And breathing, still breathing. It's okay if legs start to shake. And then you can stay here. You can keep that top arm behind the back. Or we could do those same movements as we did in that previous triangle. So you could bring palms facing each other on the outside of the front leg. And then tracing the top hand with your gaze, you could, with your next breath, lift the arm up, but only so far that you can still see your hand. You can trace the hand with your gaze. And then slowly bringing the arm down. You could do another 2 rounds with your breath, lifting the arm higher up. Again, only so far you can still look to your hand. And slowly bringing the arm down and tracing the hand with your gaze. You could do this one more time. And we stay there a couple of breaths. And then we're going to again slowly release that revolve triangle. Bring fingertips onto the mat. Lean over that front leg. Bend the front knee. Bring your hip towards that front knee. So actively rounding the back. And then we're going to start extending the front leg slightly. Trying to keep forehead as close to the front knee as possible. So now it's a different kind of forward bend. We're trying to really focus on drawing in through the belly side to curve the spine. So it's an active opening for the back side of the spine. Can be quite good for the core. So really drawing in through the front, trying to bring head towards the knee. And breathing more towards the back side. Take one more breath in and out. And then bend the front knee. And again, lift yourself back into that warrior one. Bring arms up and bring palms together in front of the chest. We're going to go into warrior three. So slowly start to shift the weight onto that front foot. Lifting the back leg now off the mat slightly. And just finding your warrior three. Standing leg can be bent or extended. Just finding an edge where you can still breathe. Legs might be shaky, that's fine. If you really want to challenge, you can reach arms overhead. Focus on grounding down through that standing leg foot. And then slowly step that back foot back down. And we're going to turn toes towards the long side of the mat. So now we are moving the feet. And we're going to fold forward into a wide-legged forward bend. This is our resting pose in between the right and the left side. So just take a moment here. You could kind of rock, swing the upper body a bit from side to side. You could shake the head. Take a couple more breaths in and out. And then we're going to slowly bring ourselves up. You could bend the knees so you can lift yourself up. And then we're going to bring the feet closer together. And just take a moment in a mountain pose. Just notice how the feet feel. How the left and the right foot feel. Is there any difference? Just in a bit, we'll do this to the other side. Take a moment. And you might rock the weight from one foot to the other, from toes to heels, heels to toes. Then we shall go and do this to the other side. I'm going to turn the kind of opposite way on my mats, just so it's maybe easier for you to see, but you can also turn, or you can stay the same way, or you can turn with me, whichever is better for you. And now, of course, we need to remember which leg we had at the front earlier. I had my left leg at front. So this time I will step my right foot forward. But before that, again, just find your feet roughly hip, pelvis width apart. And remember, that's where we're going to try to keep them. We're not going to bring feet into one line. We're going to keep distance sideways between them. So I'm going to now rotate my left foot slightly open. And what that angle is between your hips, your pelvis, your spine. And then keeping that right leg in the same line, I'll step the right foot forward and just test a couple of times. Again, can I easily step back without wobbling, kind of without using my upper body too much? Okay, and that will be quite a good distance then. So find yourself in that warrior one. Again, we are going to bend that front knee and find weight on both feet. Where does your knee need to align so that you're not hurting in the knee? And then just take a moment. Again, pelvis. We're not trying to turn the pelvis towards the front. It's an asymmetrical pose, so it's very natural that the pelvis is slightly open to the side. And just check the knees. Are they in pain? If they are, maybe you need to still adjust something. But so you find that place where you can then lead your feet throughout almost the whole sequence. And once you have that place for the legs, bring arms up. Like I said, we have that idea of we're turning chest bone towards the front, but it doesn't mean that we need to turn the pelvis. Can we find some softness in the neck, at the tops of the shoulders? And if there's still space for the breaths. And then we'll move here like we did on the first side. We're going to exhale, bring the arms sideways down, rotate the shoulders, and just slightly round the upper back, head can nod down. As you inhale, let that in-breath open the armpits, arms floating up. With an out-breath, bring the arms down now, hands behind the lower back, and we can do a little bigger movement through the spine. Press down through the feet as you lift the back up, arms floating up. Feeling that steadiness in your lower body so your upper body is free to move. Exhaling, and arms come sideways down, rotating the shoulders in, rounding the upper back. With an in-breath, spiraling the arms overhead. You open the chest. Exhale again, slightly bigger movement through the spine, hands, the lower back. And again with the in-breath, through the feet, through the legs, into the spine, arms lifting up. One more round with an out-breath. Arms come down, shoulders rotate, head can nod down. Inhalation, starting from the feet to press down, to lift up. One more, bigger, folding forward, so round the back, hands in the lower back. You decide how far you want to go. And then inhaling up. Feel the weight on both feet. And then pause for a couple of breaths. Leslie Kaminoff says, imagine you're holding a big kind of bubble, soap bubble. We're just softly holding it there, not squeezing, not bringing hands together. There's this big open space across the arms, across the chest. And there's space for the breaths. And then bring arms out to the sides, in like that T shape. We'll play with the arm rotations here. So now start from the shoulders. You're kind of spiraling, rotating the arms in, the whole arm rotating in, and then rotating the opposite way. So external rotation from the shoulders all the way to the hands. Same again, rotating in, and then rotating out. You might notice the movement goes into the upper back a bit as well. One more time, rotating in and rotating out. And then we'll leave arms there into that external rotation and just turn palms. So now we're just rotating through the lower arm. And then we're going to transition into warrior two. We'll start from the chest bone, turning out to the side, then the belly. The movement goes through the hips, but the feet stay where they are. Breathing here. And we're going to go into our triangle pose, keeping the feet where they are. So now tilt towards the front leg. And again, bring hand maybe on the inside of the knee, could be lower down, but not leaning onto the floor or not grabbing the leg. But we're really trying to use the muscles, use the core, use the legs to stay here. And you can always stay higher up. So you can always find your edge. And then let's bring that top arm behind the back just for a bit. So we can take a moment to focus on turning chest bone out to the side. Can we keep that opening through the chest? Maybe extending the front leg a bit, but still keeping the chest turned out to the side. You don't have to straighten the front leg, so see what's a good edge for you. And you can stay here, or if you want to add those opening, closing movements, bring the top arm down, so palms facing each other, and then trace the top hand with your gaze. So breathing, starting to open the top arm up again, only so far that you can still follow the hand with your gaze. And then with the next breath, slowly closing in, bringing the hands closer together. We could do this 2 more times with your breath. And this might challenge the balance as well. I find myself a bit wobbly here. So really I need to focus on grounding down. Focus on the feet, focus on the legs. We could do 1 more opening. And see if you could stay there in that open triangle for a couple of breaths. Focus on the feet. Don't let the arm take all attention. And then we're going to release down. Bring fingertips on the mat. You could bend the front knee and just let your back rest down in that forward bend for a moment. You could play with the front leg as it bent, as it extended. Trying to release the neck, heavy head dropping down. I think it's very normal if the legs start to shake, if they're not used to these kind of warriors and triangles. When we change what we do, the muscles, the whole body might be a bit shocked. And that's very fine. It's good to shock the body sometimes, as long as we keep ourselves safe. So let's explore that revolving triangle. Lift your back, your arms up into that warrior 1. And then palms facing each other. Bring hands now to the outside of that front leg. Again, could be knee, could be lower down. Find your edge, that support through the core. And then we're going to turn chest towards the front leg side. And again, let's bring that top arm behind the back first. So we can get a moment to focus on what's happening in the torso, what's happening in the legs. Can we still breathe? Do we need to come a bit higher up? And again, you can stay here, or you can add those upper body arm movements. So you could bring palms facing each other on the outside of that front leg. And then breathe and open the chest out to the side, reaching the top arm higher up. Again, just to a point where you can still see the hand. You can follow with your gaze. And then slowly down. You could do that 2 more times. You can, tracing the hand with your gaze, you can lift the arm up, turning chest to the side. Exhale or inhale down. You decide your breaths. You can do that 1 more time. Can we stay there for a moment? And then slowly release down. Again, you can bring fingertips on the mat. And then we're going to go into that bit more active forward bend. So bend the front knee, bring your head towards that front knee. So really curving the back, drawing in through the belly. And then if you start to extend the front leg, can we keep the head close to that front knee? So really actively rounding the back. Still breathing, maybe we're breathing more to the back side of the body. Again, remember, we're not leaning onto the hands, the fingertips are there just to support. And then bend the front knee. Lift yourself up back to that warrior one base. Now you can bring palms together. We're going to go into warrior 3. So from 2 feet, shift the weight onto your front foot and slowly make the back foot lighter. You can tilt further forward. But just finding your edge where you can still breathe. If you want, you can reach arms overhead. That's an extra challenge. But focus on that standing leg especially. You could flex the lifted leg, toes or foot if you want. Take another breath here. And again, shaking is very fine. I'm shaking a lot. And then step the back foot on the mat. Now we turn the feet, turn toes to the long side of the mat and fold forward. That full wide-legged forward bend. And you could swing a bit from side to side with your upper body. If you want, you can bring hands behind the legs and just gently, not pull, but kind of just support the upper body into that forward bend. Or you could turn back so the hands on the mat. Wherever you feel you can release your shoulders, you can release your arms. It's resting pose. Take a couple more breaths here, in and out. And then you can bend the knees and just slowly start to bring yourself back up. You bring your feet closer together. Find your feet under the pelvis. Back into that mountain pose, Tadasana pose. again, just check how you feel. Now we've gone through both sides. How does the left, how does the right side feel? Do you feel one side more than the other? And what if you rock the weight from toes to heels, heels to toes? How does your back feel? We've done a lot of back movements as well. And then you might end your practice here. If you feel this is a good place to end, feel free to close the practice here. Or if you want, I will take you into a Shavasana pose for a moment. This is where Leslie Kaminoff's warrior sequence ends. But then I like to add a Shavasana pose at the end of the practice. So if you want to join me, bring yourself to lie down in any way you like. Is there maybe a way to release the feet, take weight off the feet? And then give yourself a moment to rest. Feeling that change from having done so many standing poses on your feet, on your legs, to now giving your whole body weight on the mat, on the floor. You no longer need to keep yourself upright. You can now let yourself just sink, melt onto the floor. And then invite your full awareness to your breath. Where can you find space for your breaths now? Let your neck soften. Let your shoulders soften. Let your arms, your hands soften. Let your back, your belly soften. Let your hips, your legs and your feet all soften here. Give yourself a moment to just breathe and just be. Letting yourself notice how you feel now as we're slowly coming towards the end of the practice. Give yourself another few breaths in this resting pose. Maybe a few just slightly slower, deeper breaths, feeling the movements of your breaths. And then start to bring some gentle movement to your hands, your feet. If you want, you could gently lengthen arms overhead along the floor. Just stretch the whole body long from hands down to the feet. And then, in your own way, in your own time, bring yourself up into a seat. If it's a part of your practice, you could bring your palms together in front of the chest. And as always, at the end of the practice, most importantly, thank yourself for taking some time to look after yourself, for checking in with yourself. And I thank you very much for joining in and for sharing this practice. Namaste. Thank you.